Hey there guys, I'm Jack Barnwell up here on Mackinac Island, and many of you recognize this iconic beautiful gate as my grandmother's house. We have done a tour through my grandmother's glorious gardens here on the island, but today you're in for another treat. We are going to go through the iconic beautiful gardens of Lago Vista, the cottage right across the street here from my grandmother's, and it is really stunning. The gardens have been overhauled and redone by my team and I last season. They're really filling in and looking beautiful. So let's dive in and check those out. All right guys, so beautiful Lago Vista here behind me, this stunning white cottage. Believe it or not, is actually my family's first original cottage here on Mackinac Island. My grandmother and grandfather bought it, when they had purchased the Hotel Iroquois, which is right here, right down the street, and they literally spent every dime they had on this darling little cottage, and it needed a whole lot of work, and they lovingly restored it and made it into an absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cottage. And the work continues to this day in constant, painting and restoration and loving care of these old wooden Victorians. But as you can see, right across the street is my grandmother's beautiful home that we toured through and everything in previous videos. And the property, so when Lago Vista was purchased by my grandmother and grandfather, all of that property across the street there came with it. And so they didn't even realize at the time that eventually they'd be building their home there, and that their daughter would end up taking over this cottage, but it ended up being, quite an opportunity to be able to build that beautiful, beautiful spot across the way. So last year, my team and I were able to dive into the gardens here at Lago Vista and give it a bit of a needed overhaul, and it was really a great opportunity. The property never had irrigation at all before, so we added a whole irrigation system. And before we did all this revitalization, there was a few elements that were here that have been here for a long, long time, like this huge, beautiful boxwood hedge that wraps around this just stunning, iconic circular porch. And it really just highlights the absolute beauty of that architecture and that big circle. The other thing that's really cool is the original leaded glass curved windows. So just picking up that curve, which is again picked up in the curve of the handrail and the curve of the boxwood. So I love this big old boxwood hedge. Another gem to point out is these two gorgeous cap yews. This is a really, really stunning vertically growing taxus that grow, more upright in a conical kind of shape, and they're really, really happy here. These huge, huge cap yews. My father, long time ago, planted this crabapple tree here in the front yard. It was tiny. I've seen pictures of when he planted it. Tiny, tiny, tiny little tree. It was only like a 2-inch caliper tree, and when he put it in, and now it's a big old fatty with moss growing on it and everything. And just last year, I trimmed it all up and laced it out so you can see through it into the water and get this stunning view out through this tree. But then in the springtime, it's all full of flowers and really, really pretty. We just added this new little annual bed here and kind of trimmed up and sort of bonsai styling out this garden bed a little bit, just to sort of reinvent the look and feel of some of these spaces. But then a couple really, really cool elements about Lago Vista is these iconic hollyhocks that grow literally right out of the cracks of the sidewalk. And every single year, this whole row of hollyhocks comes up and grows out of the cracks here. And we just let these hollyhocks go to seed. And then later in the summer and the fall, when the seed pods have fully developed, we break them off, or they just break off naturally. And the seeds just blow down in a storm along here. And you know, it's a biennial, so every other year we have new growth and germination of those hollyhock seeds, and they really just do well. And you can see they're just, when they get taller, we just tie them up to the fence there to keep them staked up. It's pretty fun little spot there. And they've been growing like that since I was a tiny little guy. I mean, it's all, my whole life, those hollyhocks have been coming up in the crack of the sidewalk there. And back in here, this was a really cool little space. Before last year, this whole little shady oasis back here wasn't really developed all that well. I mean, obviously the larger trees, like this huge, beautiful chestnut, were here, but we added in these beds and really loaded it up with a lot of beautiful drifts of ground cover, some pachysandra and sweet woodruff here, obviously some big banks of hosta. Really nice, deep, shady little woodland back in here to keep it super simple. Very low maintenance, some really pretty ferns, nice bank of white astilbe. And speaking of astilbe, these stunners right here in the corner, really beautiful display of astilbes here. And the reason that we did rock as the mulch in this corner, this is a really cool plant too. This is called Hookerella right here. And you can see it's actually a spreading, more of a ground cover heuchera. And see how it's sending out those little tendrils like that, like an octopus. It's actually starting to ground cover out. It flowers. This is also known as foam flower, Hookerella. And it'll shade, you know, or it'll cover and spread out in the shade like this and do really well and spread over top of these rocks and just keep flowering like crazy. So this is a really cool plant for shade that I love. But anyway, the reason that we have all this rock, this beach rock here as our mulch for this corner is this end of the, or this valley right here in the roof really pours a lot of water off, heavy in a big storm. And underneath here, we just have a bunch of really big drain stone and rock, so it drains really fast, and this whole entire area stays nice and dry and clean without having to have gutters or anything on the house. Then back here, I love all these charming little gates. I mean, look at how tiny these little gates are. And really beautiful work. Nice heavy gates. All this stuff is really quite stunning. Antique, always getting worked on and repainted. That just got scraped down and primed to get another coat of paint, but looking really good. But this little shady garden back here, we just put these birch trees in. Again, more of those shade-loving perennials. These beautiful alliums are getting ready to do their thing. Some of this Japanese forest grass here. This is all just planted last year, so it's just getting going and filling out and everything like that. But a really cool little shady bed that was never here before. And it's just nice to see that, you know, things are starting to take shape. I haven't been through the gardens in a little while here, so it's fun for me too, with you guys, to come through and look through these and show you what's going on as I'm seeing it again too. It's pretty fun. This is an awesome combo right here. It's a really vibrant phlox. There, that deep, beautiful purple. I love that with this color of hollyhock there. Just super stunning. This would be pretty with some chartreuse here. So I saw that I had some gold king Aralia right back there. And that would be a really pretty plant to kind of put right in here, a nice gold king Aralia, and maybe move this hardy hibiscus over here a little bit and shift these daisies a little in front of them. We have a little room here to work in this bed where this bed could be shifted a little and reworked. So I think that chartreuse in front of there to be super, super stunning. Always thinking through some different ideas like that and everything. This is a new plant that was just put in here along the fence line. This is a mallow. Really cool little hibiscus-like flower there. And those will get super tall and just fill this whole fence line and be real pretty. Kind of like a hollyhock in that way, but just a little different foliage to them and everything there. Some great tough stuff hydrangeas. These, when we put these in, they were like 1 gallon, not even like quart-sized plants. So these have done really, really well. I planted these a few years ago, but they've just been jamming there. The lawn is all trampled down right now, as you can see, because last night there was a fundraiser party here, a little cocktail party in the garden, in the yard, which is really cool to always be doing some great things for the community and stuff like that. And the party went really, really well, little garden party. Anyway, that's a little quick tour around the absolutely stunning, beautiful Lago Vista. I hope you guys all enjoyed this little tour, this beautiful little Victorian here on Mackinac Island. We'll have lots more cool videos and stuff coming your way soon. Stay tuned. Cheers.